Okay, folks, this is a relic from my past when I was living in darkness and depression and sadness and not feeling very happy, feeling very lonely, living in a ghetto, which included crime and a gas leak in the unit where I lived. If I remember correctly, this was back from then, really sad days. And when I was really terrified of bills, fucking scared. I was very terrified of all sorts of shit, folks, especially death. Death was the thing that scared me most. And I lived a life where I was just living a misery, absolute misery of an existence, folks. So I'm not really happy with what I put myself through back then, why I was so miserable and down upon myself and worried about things too much. But, you know, these things are happening in my history and I have to fucking make use of them. And let's see what this is. It is Vodafone, prepaid mobile broadband. Oh yes, I remember those days. I think the year must have been 2008. Or was it 2008? Or was it 2004? It was really old days, and it just takes me fucking back to those dreadful days, folks, that I was really, really, really unhappy. And I was really, really sad and depressed and really, really not coping with the way life was. And it was horrible. And what could I do? It was like I was living a misery, like I was half dead. I did some stupid things in the early 90s that resulted in this condition happening and continuing for as long as it did. Now that's come up, I forgot to put it on negative. I was going to put it on negative mode. I'm going to got to enlarge it a little bit bigger there. But it looks like we're on track with this. But I really, it was really hard living this misery of a life that I had, and one of the things I did was I was really scared of mobile phone plans. I wanted to keep it stay in control, so I ended up using prepaid services instead of postpaid or bills. I just wasn't ready to commit myself to dealing with the issues of what if I got into debt. I was really worried about things. It really worried me that I could get into debt if I didn't have a prepaid service, if I had it all as a billing system. And even now that I'm getting, I've left the prepaid stuff long and truly behind, I still find myself seeing why I was so worried, because I do get myself into a lot of financial hot water a lot of the time, and I do get into debt a little bit, so I have problems sometimes. This looks shit house. This one looks better. The colour in that looks a lot nicer. I do think it's too light. But yeah, that's the thing. Now I'm working on my TV campaign. I need all this power, you know, all this billing and that I can't just go back to the days when I was just using prepaid to keep myself safe from getting into debt. Because I felt like I had to play it safe. I was really terrified of getting into debt, getting into hock. So yeah. So I actually run two separate bills. I have two different telcos catering for my bills. But that looks shit house. I do think that should be more green. I think that looks shit house. But yeah, I used to be too afraid to have a bill, so I had to fucking just play it safe. I felt that playing it safe was the only way I could manage my expenses, even though I was earning more money then than I am now. And things were a lot cheaper back then than they are now. I'm running 2 different telcos to keep my campaign happening. I'm trying to get on the 6 o'clock news, and it's proven to be really difficult. And I'm trying to get my creative photocopier use recognised, and I do need all this data and all this equipment and shit to keep the campaign alive. And it really is proven to be difficult, and I have had trouble paying my bills, so I can see the fear that I had when I was young was really I had a reason to fear, and it's really understandable. But I'm trying not to be afraid. I'm trying to be brave and just do what I have to do to get my work up on the 6 o'clock news. So yeah, the amount of data I had on this would have been puny. I don't even know if that was actually an internet as well as mobile phone, but I used to really, be terrified. It is terrifying when you do get into hock, when you do get a bill saying you owe $420 to the telco and you haven't paid it, and you got to fucking find where you can find that bloody money. You got to try and scratch around and find how you're going to pay it off. But I need to do it out of pure necessity, folks. Necessity. I don't do this because I want. I do want to. It gives me something to do, these demos. But I need to get in touch with a partner whose name's Luigi, and I really miss him. And I need to get in touch because I want to get married to him. So this is going to be worth, hopefully, all this trouble that I've put in and all this expense and bills and shit. Anyway, that's come up looking quite interesting. I think we can now call this demo quits.